Determining a sample space and outcomes for a compound event. Okay, so we've done this for a simple event, and simple just means that only one thing is going to happen. When we have compound event, that means that more than one thing is going to happen. So if we read the problem, we have a box has 4 cards numbered 1 through 4. Rachel tosses a coin once and records toss as heads as H or tails as T. She will then randomly pick a card from the box and record the number chosen. Give the sample space describing all possible outcomes, then give all outcomes for the event that the coin toss is heads. So first we have to take into account, and that's what they're doing down here. So we can have heads or we can have tails. And then we can pick a card, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I can do the same thing if it lands on tails, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So these are all my outcomes. The way I want to list them when I write them in my box here is I want to go H and 1. This is going to be H and 2, H and 3, and so on. So it's not super duper hard to list these, but these are what I'm going to list. And this is exactly how I'm going to list it in that sample space. These are all the possible outcomes. So I do the same thing with tails, T1, T2, T3, T4. And then I want to list all the events where the coin tosses heads. So I would only list these 4 that I've actually already written down because those are the 4 possible outcomes with heads in them. It doesn't matter. It's not asking me to worry about okay, sorry, I was reading below. I was worried that it was giving me a little extra, but it's not asking me to worry about which card I chose, 1, 2, 3, or 4, only whether or not it was heads or tails. All right, so if we scroll down, we can see that they're only doing these 4 for heads. So let's clear this and let's go ahead and start. And I'm going to go ahead and make that little tree diagram just because it makes it a little easier to view. So a coin will be tossed 3 times, and each toss will be recorded as heads or tails. Give the sample space describing all possible outcomes. So the first time I toss the coin, I can get heads or tails. The second time I toss it, I can also get heads or tails. The third time I toss it, I can also get heads or tails. So you see how very quickly a tree diagram can get a little overwhelming depending on the number of choices you have here. So if I follow this along, the first one I have H, H, and H. So that's H, H, H. And then I have HT, so that would be another one, H, H, T. Then I'm going to go down on this one, H, T, H, H, T, H. And then I'm still going down, I'm still going to T, but this time I'm going to go down to T again. So I have H, T, T. It's funky, I don't know why. I am not writing what I'm saying here. Okay, so I said H, T, H, H, T, T, sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to the T mark because I've gone through all the mapping on this one. So I'm going to go T, H, H. The end of this one, T, H, H. And then T, H, T. T, H, T. And then T, T, H. T, T, H. T, T, T. All right, so these are all my possible outcomes. So I just get to type all these in. It's going to take me a moment here. So I'm going to go HHH, comma, HHT, comma, HTH, comma, HTT, THH, THT, TTH, TTT. All right, so these are all my possible outcomes for when I throw these coins. So now it wants me to figure out the event that the first toss is heads. So I want to go here and I want to look only where my first event has an H. So I want to look at that first column because that tells me what my first event was. So I have 4 possible outcomes where my toss was H. And I'm actually going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to highlight these 4 that I've already typed in. I'm going to hit Control C and then Control V. Oh, it didn't paste them correctly. Never mind. I guess I'm not cheating. HTH, nope, HT, then H, then HTT. Okay, let's go and check that. Perfect. Next. Clear. All right, so it says a coin will be tossed twice. Each toss will be recorded as heads or tails. Give the possible sample space. So pretty much exactly what we just did. It's just one less. So now I can get heads or tails the first time, and then I can get heads or tails the second time. So that's it. We're just stopping a little bit early on that one. So my possible outcomes are heads and heads for this one, heads and tails. And then I can get tails, then heads, or tails and tails. So those are my possible outcomes. So they're a little bit less. It's actually the same idea, just not as many options. I list all four. And then it wants me to do that the second event, or the second toss, is a tails. So I only want to look at events where T is in the second place. So here's one, and here's one. Oh, and I clicked the wrong button. Darn it. I meant to click that button. All right, so I want HT and TT. Check. All right, one more. So a box has 4 cards numbered 1 through 4. Rachel will toss a coin once and record the toss as heads or tails. So we know she's going to do heads or tails. Then she will randomly choose a number from the box. Well, I know it's got to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. This is just like the example one. 1, 2, 3, or 4. So when I go through and I'm listing my possible outcomes, my first one could be, why didn't I change my color here? H1, so I just write H1, H2, and so on. So I don't necessarily need to write all these out, I don't think. I think we get the idea here. So each one I'm going to go through. So go ahead and go over here and go H1, H2, H3, H4. Now I'm going to go to tails. Tails 1, tails 2, tails 3, tails 4. All right, so those are all my possible outcomes. And I want to know, or I want to list the event that the coin toss is heads. So this is actually the exact same as what we did on the example. So I'd only list, so here, I'll write this last one here. Pick my pen tool. So I didn't finish listing this. So these are all the heads, and I didn't list the tails. But these are the only ones we care about anyway, because this is, they only want the events where you get a heads. So H1, H2, H3, and H4. And check. All right, we finished it. Yay!